Hi, I'm Teresa Lombardi, and I'm here with Taylor B. Sinclair, founder of Illuminescence and creator of Core Essence Blueprinting. Today, Taylor, what I wanted to talk to you about is what they call business profiling, personality profiling. We've heard so much over the years about this type of profiling, and I think it's because we're always searching for ways to find ourselves and understand ourselves more, and that's why these were originally created. But many people find, even after they've done these types of techniques and testing, that they just aren't enough. They still need more information, or the results don't quite feel right about who they are.
Yes.
Now, you've developed a process called Core Essence Blueprinting. You've been developing it for over 25 years. Tell me the difference between a personality or business profile and Core Essence Blueprinting.
The difference would be that personality is something that we develop. Core essence is something that we're born with. That's the largest distinction right there, which is really the main core of the whole thing. Because we say that we need to be authentic, and we don't need to, but to be authentic is something that we seem to need because we're searching for that. We're searching for that missing part of ourselves and all these things that we keep trying to find and fill in. So with the personality profiling or business profiling, basically they ask you questions that you have to answer with your mind, which of course is all developed. This isn't something, you're not born with that particular sentence in your mind. These are things that happen to you through the years and causes you to develop a certain personality, a certain way of operating in the world, things like this. And with the blueprinting, what we do is identify a vibration that exists in the body from the time, we've done them as young as 2 months, from the time that you're born, and it does not change. So if you can match that authentic vibration with your life, as opposed to trying to develop something that fits in or matches someone else's expectations, or one of these things that we try to do to get along and get forward in our lives, then you're 1,000% better off.
So when it comes to the Myers-Briggs test and the DISC and some of these other tests, so what are they really telling us in the end? What's the point?
Well, they're great tests, and it does give us a very clear indication of how to interact with somebody, you know what I'm saying? But that's a developed person. So what we're doing is just saying, well, here's my developed person, so interact with me this way.
Right.
But what happens is that we're still interacting with something that's not really truly authentic. It's been developed or trained or contracted for in a way through our own need for things.
Okay.
And so therefore we're missing the core of that person. We're kind of missing that true person that we could be dealing with and having a much more effective relationship, more effective results in the workplace, more effective communication between just personal relationships. It brings to mind one of our clients in the last couple of years that came in, and she had a business profile done within her company a couple of years before she came in and had her blueprint done. Shortly after her blueprint was done, maybe a year later, the company did another wave of testing. And she was actually questioned on it because they said it was so different. Was she trying to manipulate the test different or look at it differently, or what could cause such a difference? And we thought that was fascinating. We have done some other relationship testing things on this also. But that just shows you that something had been developed, and when she came into her own essence and relaxed into it, more of the real self started coming out. And she said she felt much better about her job and everything when she could be herself.
So Core Essence Blueprinting is really, what you're saying is more than just fashion or your outer appearance. It could have a profound effect on your career.
Absolutely.
And how you interact in the workplace.
Yes, and another story comes to mind. There's so many stories over the years, but sometimes they're very explanatory about things.
Right.
We had a client come in, and she had worked on Wall Street for several years. She was quite young, but she was very successful on Wall Street. She moved to California, and when she got here, she came in and had her blueprint done. And she was supposed to go back to New York within a few months of that. And I remember it was November because I was concerned about November in New York.
Right.
You know, the law in New York is you wear black. You're pretty much on Wall Street. I mean, this is a joke, but pretty much that's how they dress there. Very dark colors and somber things. And so she decided on her business trip to take her essence, her blueprint, and follow that instead. And because the time involved, she didn't have time to go out and try and buy a lot of new things at that point. She had to wear some things that we had already found for her that were not in that season, perhaps. But she went back, and the look was much softer than she would have done in New York in November, by far. It wasn't even close. And she reported back a couple weeks later that she had the most successful meetings, that men treated her with more respect, which sometimes for women that's an issue in business, as
Right.
far as being
Oh,
treated as
yeah.
an equal in business. And she got her deals.
Wow. So
She was
clearly
authentic
individual.
then.
Right.
It was authentic. It didn't matter what she had on. People saw her for her and heard her.
Right, and not necessarily were influenced by what she was wearing.
Yes. It becomes a moot point at that point.
So Taylor, I noticed the same thing with my husband. After he had his Core Essence blueprint done, obviously he dressed very differently. But what was interesting about that is he works from home. He spends most of his time either on the phone or on the computer, and he started making vastly more money. But no one could necessarily see that he was wearing something different. So it was some kind of energetic process that happened where something about him, as he became more authentic, somehow that translated out.
It seems surprising,
Yes.
but it's very common with what we do. So that, you see, it's about the energy of the person. It's not about how I look, am I in style, am I trendy, do I have this, do I have that, is it the right cost, all these things that we tend to look at
Right.
in our everyday shopping trips and whatever. When you actually are in your energy field, it comes across to somebody else, whether they can see you or not. I'm thinking of one telemarketer that we had. It was the most shocking story I've heard in all these years, I think, about income increases. But she was on telephone sales, and she did not see anyone ever. And she was going to leave her job when she came in to have her blueprint done. She said she was considering changing companies because she thought she just couldn't sell anything. She was the lowest person in her company as far as sales. And 2 weeks later, I was just stunned. But she called back, and she called us back, and she was top salesperson that month. She made it in 2 weeks. And she said, but no one sees me. I don't even have to make outgoing calls. They just call in, and it's just like they get this voice. And you see, it's a vibrational field. And it doesn't mean that we can tell about that person on the phone, but we hear something that's so congruent and authentic that you tend to be heard in a whole different way and perceived in a whole different way. So whether it's in person or not in person, even on the phone, it does affect us, our authenticity, in a huge way.
Right, in a way that someone's personality necessarily wouldn't translate in the same way.
Yes, because you're trying to make that happen. You're almost manipulating yourself sometimes and trying to remember this and remember that.
Adapt.
Yes, and adapt to all these situations to where if you're just vibrating and being truthful and being yourself, it comes across a whole different way. And all the testing I've done all these years, I have never seen anyone be able to transcend the clothing on their back. Meaning, you can try all you want to change how you sound, you can try all you want to change how you look, and if you cannot transcend the clothing. It's a vibrational field. The clothes are a vibrational field. You are a vibrational field. And when they match, magic happens. And when they don't match, there's incongruence. It's almost like that radio station where the static is off. You can't quite grasp what the person is trying to get across to you, what they're trying to say to you, how they're trying to be with you. It just doesn't happen the same way.
The statement that you made, we are unable to transcend the clothing on our back, that takes us into a whole new paradigm, and it really can affect us in business and in our careers.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us today.
My pleasure.